All right, all right, all right. What's up, loners? How are y'all doing today? Thanks for coming back and checking in with us.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Our dog is lounging, stretched out on the couch right next to us.
Must be a nice life being a dog.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But yeah, episode number 49. Roll that intro. All right, so we're back today with another one. Yeah. You got anything you want to say, Linda? Give us an update on your life.
Not much to update. It's just another day.
Yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed our latest content. We've been talking about pretty relevant topics, especially with like pretty much the gun control and everything.
The gun control? You mean lack of control?
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
That and then the healthcare. You guys seem to find that topic very interesting, which it is very interesting, and it's also it does make us a little sad when we see how like it doesn't need to be that way. But yeah,
It's almost like this elephant in the room. Like everyone's aware of it, but like no one does anything about it. Here, there's somebody's playing music.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to, I believe it's London that they're striking.
Oh yeah,
they have like
yeah.
a general strike.
I saw Montreal is too. That Montreal
like-
has to do with housing, but I don't know what they're doing in London.
Don't quote me on this. I think it had something to do with like inflation, and I know like a lot of teachers are out there striking
That's good.
because I'm sure they don't get paid great out there either. I think it's awesome because out here we're just like, we must not be that. Not enough people here are probably at that point where they're like, it's not even worth it to go to work anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know what it is. They have this weird manipulation and control over us here. Like people are just too comfortable being exploited out here.
I think it's just because they dug us into a hole of debt. And like I was just watching a video because the jobs report number came out this morning, and it seems very fake. Like I think they're saying that there was like 500,000 jobs added in the past month.
Bullshit.
And I think a lot of it is people picking up second jobs.
Google just laid off a ton of employees. A couple other tech companies laid off a ton of employees too.
Yeah. I think it's their way just to like make it look like, to fluff it, fluff the numbers or whatever you'd say, like to make it look better than it actually is.
I hate that you're a conspiracy theorist if you question analytics that are being posted.
Yeah, but so apparently our country, we just hit the debt ceiling. So legally we're not allowed to get any more debt, but we're in $30 trillion of debt.
What does that even mean? What does it mean legally we can't have more? Like,
if our politicians vote together, both sides say, yeah, we can raise the debt limit, then they'll be able to accrue more debt. So that way they're able to...
So 30 trillion?
In debt, yeah.
That's where we cap things. That's where we're like, that's where we're going to stop,
Yeah, and apparently they bring in like 5 or 6 trillion a year from taxes.
That I believe. I thought it would be more, to be honest.
Yep.
But speaking of taxes,
oh, exactly.
it's about to be tax season right now in the U.S.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much like the Hunger Games. We're all just like out there raw dogging it and just like
raw dogging it.
We're all just like, hopefully I'm doing this right. Like unless you hire someone, which is exactly what
That's a huge
Intuit
business, yeah.
and H&R, like all those companies, that's what they lobby for, is just to have us struggling while we do our taxes. And do not get me wrong, it's not the most difficult thing, but if you have like independent work that you do, or
they make it way more difficult.
More than one source of for the majority of people, it's like, hopefully I'm doing this right. And,
so you have to hire a CPA,
which is exactly what they want.
They're expensive sometimes. Most people can't afford like paid CPAs that do a really good job.
Even doing it on your own costs money. Like You know what I mean?
Well, now like H&R Block is offering free because they want you to move you away. They say if you transfer it from TurboTax, they'll give it to you. They'll do it for free.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah, because they're trying to steal competition from each other, or they're trying to steal. You know what I mean?
Either way, we shouldn't have to do our taxes on our own. The IRS knows what we owe, or not owe. Just like send me a freaking letter in the mail.
That's what we wanted to ask. I know this video might explain it, but
It probably
drop
will.
in the comments how the tax system works for you guys, like filing. Like, is it easy? Is it hard? Do they pull your information and then just say, okay, that you owe this much, or do you have to file it?
I think a fair amount of Europe, like.
That's what we'll know.
But
you guys
like,
will. Let us know.
you guys are the experts on that.
You ready to start?
Yes. Sorry.
So this video is from CNBC and it's called "Why Taxes Are So Confusing in the U.S." And let's begin.
Across the nation, Americans dig way down deep for our record-breaking income tax collection. It's hard to relax with those tax forms on your mind, but don't give up.
That is easier said than done. Filing taxes seems almost painful by design here in the U.S.
If you look at the many, many lines on the tax code, the just plethora of forms and additional attachments that you may have to make, it's an incredibly complicated code. It's over 7 million words long.
The IRS estimates the average taxpayer spends 12 hours working on it and ends up paying an average of $230 to get their paperwork filed.
Your tax return.
Yeah, that's just to file it. That's not even how much you might owe.
Right, you might owe. Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. It is expensive to file
And it's different
sometimes.
to do. There's state and federal.
Yeah.
Too.
It
So,
depends because some states don't have the state income tax.
yeah, I guess that's true. In California, we do.
Yep.
So you file it at the same time, but they handle it differently. Like whether you owe or don't owe.
I think California is one of the most expensive places, also like including like taxes for everything.
Yeah, they tax you for air.
Yeah.
Way that simple. I don't care who you are or what economic situation you're in.
Now, for some of us, it is the largest single financial transaction that we make each and every year. Just take my case. I work for a company that's based in New Jersey, but I live in New York and in Manhattan specifically. So I have to pay federal income tax, state income tax for both New Jersey and New York.
What?
Oh my
Plus
god.
the city income tax for Manhattan. That is a whole
Wait, what?
Fuck that. Like, that's insane. She shouldn't have to pay two different states.
Oh my God, yeah, because New Jersey is a different state. Wow, that's ridiculous.
That is wild.
whole lot of paperwork. But tax experts say that all those forms and schedules are actually designed to help us save money if the filer knows how to navigate the tax code.
We have 70,000 pages of rules, and we have a deduction or a credit for everything under the sun.
If you have the knowledge about how it works, you can utilize the tax code to benefit you more in the long run. However, most people don't have that knowledge, and I think that is what creates this fear of the IRS and paying taxes when essentially the tax code is not there to harm anyone.
So how did the tax code get?
Why would we know this information?
This is something that
she wouldn't have a job if we knew this information.
That is true. But this is something I think should be put in like mandatory high school classes.
No, what needs to happen is the government needs to fucking do their job. That's what the IRS is for.
Yeah,
do your job.
Yeah.
If I go to work and I don't do my job, I pawn it off on somebody else. Like, what if I told the customer, like, you do it and then pay me? Like, come on.
Get to be so complicated?
Weird.
And is it really a good thing for the taxpayer? When I get my paycheck every other week, I get a line-by-line list of all the money that's automatically being taken out, including what's being withheld for federal, state, and city income tax. Which begs the question, what exactly am I doing when I file my taxes every year if all this tax has already been taken out of my pay?
The process that we go
That's
through
so
every
true.
spring is to reconcile what we owe according to the tax code with what we've already paid in through withholding, usually for most people. But it's a complex process because there's oftentimes a mismatch between what we've already paid in and what it is that we owe.
Instead of handing out direct checks to people who need help, Congress runs a large number of social policies and benefits through the tax code itself. That means that, theoretically, you can substantially reduce the amount of tax you have to pay by claiming certain deductions, credits, and expenses on your tax return.
We have a lot more freedom here, where the tax codes are up to you to utilize to your favor. On the IRS website, they explicitly state that you can use the code to benefit you as much as you can. You have a full year to thoroughly and effectively tax plan to make sure that your money is being spent in places where you are growing it, but at the same time, reducing your tax liability.
Some argue that having to itemize and identify all these one-off deductions is an unnecessary hassle, while others think it's key to leveling the playing field.
The price of unfairness is simplicity. When people talk about the flat tax or, just do the one rate tax, that may be great for somebody, but somebody with 3 children who's unmarried, who needs the earned income credit and the child tax credit and the dependent care credit, those are complicated. The person over here with just one W-2, they may like the flat tax, but this other person, they need that.
But tax breaks and deductions aren't the only reason that filing your returns every year is super complicated. The tax system in the U.S.
The thing is that, like, those complications shouldn't fall on us, the individuals, to figure out.
Right.
Like, I understand that it can get complicated if you have like multiple kids, you're single, blah blah blah. Your mom or the other parent
Yeah,
does
like
something else.
dependents, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that gets complicated, but then you should just fill out like a quick survey, and then they should get back to you. Okay, this is how much you get. This is what you shouldn't have to like get all the details and itemize things. And all
I
that
think
stuff.
as long as, like, okay, when you fill out your tax information when you have a job, they tell you like they ask you like how many people do you claim?
Yeah.
Like what, like pretty much do you have children that are going to be claimed on your taxes? So it's like, the government should already know. You know
That's what I'm
I mean?
saying. So we're pretty much just like, say at a job, when you're getting the job, like you were saying, each year you have to fill out like your dependents, blah, 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 and all that stuff.
I think it's the W-9.
But then why are you repeating the process again
That's what I'm
every
saying.
year?
Doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah,
Like,
okay, so that's what you were saying. So we're
there's
doing
a
the
difference
things twice.
There's a difference in like reporting it. Like, hey, by the way, just have
Like a change
kid,
or something.
Another
Popped
dependent.
out another one.
Whatever. Or they're saying, I think he was saying also if you get help from the government certain ways,
Yeah.
then like how do you claim that in your taxes? But it's like when you are applying for this help, doesn't the IRS know if like you are receiving certain benefits and things? Like, again, that is your responsibility to consider when you are telling someone what they owe or don't owe.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah,
But I don't get it. It's like they already know. The IRS knows.
that's what I know.
So it's like, why are you? It just, to me, it seems like they're setting us up
For failure.
to fail.
Yeah.
They're like, because if you pay what you think you owe, and it's wrong, like you didn't pay enough, they can come after you and be like, you owe us more money, and now interest on top of that.
Yeah, and they're pretty ruthless with that.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's like a mob boss coming back after someone who owes them money.
It's not.
Yes, it is. They're like the mafia.
Okay.
The system in the U.S. is incredibly complex for a number of different reasons.
We tax households instead of individuals. Another common thing that comes up is that many people have more than one job. And so again, unless you've made adjustments, your second job, let's say you have a side gig, the withholding is not being done as if that's your second job. It may be being done as if it's your first job. And in a system with graduated rates, that withholding may not be correct.
The way people earn money, also not always totally straightforward.
The reason why the U.S. tax system can seem complex is because individuals can earn income 3 different types of ways. We can earn portfolio income, which is going to be income earned through trading stocks and bonds. We can earn income passively, which can be created through things like real estate investing. And then we can also have our income from what we earned. The tax system can seem complex if you have income in these different categories.
And then there's politics. Remember, income tax goes back to the 16th Amendment in 1913. And
Damn.
since then, a whole lot of presidents have rolled out their own changes and overhauls to the tax code.
Traditionally, every time a new president is signed on, they have a tax reform policy that they're going to put into place.
But it's not like they can always totally erase what came before them. Instead, politicians tend to layer on top of what's already there.
Something that provides political rewards for members of
They're
Congress.
just creating more confusion.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's way too confusing.
If you can help out some economic sector, say that's important in your district or state, that could be a political benefit that redounds to you. And so there's a lot of incentive for Congress to add more tax breaks.
Experts say that this is part of why the tax code keeps getting longer with all of these increasingly complex provisions that don't appear to have any sort of overall logic.
The first reason why our taxes are so complicated is because they never seem to go away, even though we all want tax simplification.
Nowadays, figuring out which forms and schedules you need to fill out isn't exactly the easiest thing to do by hand.
I could do my taxes by hand, but it would be very difficult to do that, and hardly anyone does that anymore.
Do you want to be your own accountant? Are you going to take time and research the tax code? Are you going to take time and research tax? To most people, they do not want to do that.
This kind of attitude has been great for companies in the nearly $11 billion business of tax preparation services. H&R Block, TurboTax,
So
and
crazy.
Jackson Hewitt are some of the biggest players in the tax prep software space.
Our role is really to help all taxpayers understand the tax laws and apply them to themselves so they can pay the minimum amount of tax burden that they owe. I don't care who you are or what economic situation you're in, high, medium, low, no income, unemployed. You've got a complicated tax profile, because low-income taxpayers qualify for a variety of tax benefits. High-income people, a variety of tax breaks and other benefits. People in the middle, they're in the phase-out. They may qualify or they may not qualify.
But hiring help, whether it's an
That's
accountant,
another thing too. That's like the middle class is shrinking a lot too.
And also, do you see how he says, like, if you're in the upper class, you have a ton of tax breaks?
Yeah, he's also
Makes that
saying
make sense?
yeah, and I mean those are the people that are able to afford lawyers and people to really look into the code so that way they can get every single break.
I feel like it's the middle class that kind of like gets treated like the middle child. They're the ones taking
It's true.
a lot of the burden for.
Yeah, because low income do get a lot of like benefits, and then wealthy people get a lot of breaks, and then in the middle they're kind of just like,
Trying to
well, I
keep
can't afford a
everything
lawyer, I can't do this.
afloat, yeah.
Yeah, and it's true. It is a tough spot. Yeah.
it's an accountant or tax prep software, doesn't always come cheap. Every year, taxpayers spend more than $200 on average to prepare and file their taxes. And remember, that's on top of anything they may owe the government. TurboTax, which is owned by Intuit, made over $3.1 billion from its consumer tax segment in fiscal year 2020, up 25% from 2 years earlier. But there is one major headwind to this fast-growing, for-profit tax prep sector: the rise of no-fee online tax prep. Now, for years, TurboTax's parent company has warned that free government-run tax services could pose a big threat to its business model. More than 20 states offer their own freemium filing portals to allow residents to prepare and file state income taxes online at no cost. And 70% of Americans are eligible to file their federal taxes for free online
IRS,
through
yeah.
IRS Free File, a public-private partnership between the IRS and a coalition of tax prep companies called the Free File Alliance, which actually includes TurboTax. So about 100 million people could be filing their taxes for free. The program got its start in 2003, but a fraction of those eligible actually use it. In 2020, only 4.2 million of the 100 plus million eligible taxpayers obtained a free
But
return.
why aren't they like promoting this or telling people?
I've
like,
honestly only heard about this in the past like 6 months, with like that you can file on the IRS website for free. I didn't know that.
it said only certain states though.
That, and I think certain income brackets too.
Oh,
but
that makes sense.
I think majority of people can do it. But I don't know. To me, I'm like, okay, that's great, but like it still doesn't solve the problem that people are constantly questioning if they're doing it right. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like the only people who have confidence in doing their taxes, if they're doing it themselves, is like you have no children, you're not married, and
A regular job.
you have one job,
Yeah.
and that is it. Like
Yeah.
you don't do
Anything
anything
for
on the
other money.
side. You
It
don't,
starts
you
to
don't
get-
do independent work. Like it's
Yeah.
solely like, and that's it.
It starts to get pretty complicated when you start doing independent work.
Which a lot of people out here like do,
Yeah.
especially if you live in a city. People are doing like.
They have to do different gigs. Like they have to do.
I mean,
side
not
gigs.
everyone does, but like
I think majority do.
majority.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah.
still think it's stupid that we have to do our taxes ourselves.
Yeah, I really want to know you guys, wherever you guys are from, if you guys think like, wow, this is so stupid the way they do this, or if it like, yeah, I don't
Especially
know. Just let us know.
after COVID,
Yeah.
because people were on unemployment. I'm sure there were people like getting benefits in other ways, and it's like that's where things get like weird because
Oh yeah, now.
a ton of people weren't even like
Yeah.
a ton of people were on unemployment, and a lot of them like we were on it throughout part
Yeah.
of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And like
Everyone
I had
was,
never been
yeah.
on it before, so there were certain things I'm just like, hopefully I'm doing this right.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
yeah, so it was the first time for us doing that, and literally everyone was, because no one was able to work for a good year.
I think very few like grocery store workers were like the only ones that kind of had to still
Yeah.
work. And like
But
obviously
even then,
healthcare.
most of them were still able to get a fraction of it, the unemployment too.
Right, I guess.
So it was confusing because it was the first time, and then now they're coming back after a lot of people saying you owe
Oh yeah,
because
they
you made a
overpaid
mistake on something. So now you owe this huge amount, and they're coming back after people.
with like interest. And
Yeah, and it's kind of messed up. Like you're really like taking advantage of people who just might
like
have made an
you
honest
made-
mistake.
but it's like we're not allowed to make mistakes. But if the IRS makes a mistake,
No one's there.
it still
to-
comes at our expense.
Yeah,
You know,
yep.
it doesn't make any sense.
That's the sad part about this whole thing. Yeah,
That's the sad part.
it is.
Sorry.
Free return filing through the program. That was a nearly 50% increase from the previous year, but still a small fraction of the total eligible tax-paying population. The Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration released an audit in 2020 to understand why so few taxpayers actually use the free file program. This report estimates that more than 14 million taxpayers in processing year 2019 ended up paying for tax prep software that they could have gotten for free. So why are so few people
They don't know
actually
about
taking
it.
advantage of this freemium model? The audit blames the complexity of the program, a confusing design, a lack of taxpayer awareness.
Sorry. But also, the IRS website it just looks so outdated. You know what I mean? It looks like you're on one of the first like computers that ever
Yeah, like one of the first websites being
developed.
built,
Yeah,
and they just never like
it looks like
overhauled
a,
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it just doesn't look like.
It looks like from the
today.
90s.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there's
don't know
so
why.
much writing. It looks like you're reading a newspaper everywhere. It's like please just, and that's why people use TurboTax
Because
It's
yeah,
they dumb it down for you. It almost looks like you're on an app on a phone.
it's a lot more user friendly.
It's way more user friendly.
Yeah.
So
They need to do that to the IRS website.
they do.
Yeah, to a lot of government websites, they need to do that. Yeah.
Like humans are simple creatures. You don't need to do all that.
Taxpayer awareness and inadequate oversight by the IRS. Looking abroad, the process is even simpler in places like Belgium, Spain, and Denmark, where all residents have to do is check the government's math on their pre-populated returns.
It is
I have graduate
pre-populated.
students from some European countries who literally check over their tax forms on their cell phones and say, yes, 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 adjust this, okay, done.
This YouTube video
What?
Again, it's like if
So you were right. Yeah, you
some
were
of
right.
these other countries can do this, like why can't we? What resource are we lacking?
It almost seems like they like to burden us with this stuff so that way we make mistakes, like you were saying.
That's how it feels.
It
at
does.
least.
It was posted by a taxpayer in Estonia. He walks us through the entire process of filing his income tax return. It is utterly captivating, if not totally baffling. It takes him all of 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Oh my
So
god.
can we take any of these best practices from abroad in order to make paying taxes in the US easier? I mean, after President Trump's tax overhaul in 2017, Now more than 87% of taxpayers just take the standard deduction instead of itemizing their returns. And for a whole lot of taxpayers, the government already knows your income because your employer sends your W-2 and 1099 to the IRS. So that means that on both the income and deduction side of things, the calculations are pretty straightforward.
There have been proposals over time for the United States, the IRS, for example, to mail out draft returns to taxpayers who are in straightforward situations. The idea being, if you just have income, earned income from a job, maybe some interest income from a bank, straightforward tax situation, the IRS could actually fill out the form for you, and you could check it over, make some adjustments if needed, and then send it back in. That's what's done in a number of other countries.
So remember Free File, that program where Intuit and other for-profit companies teamed up with the IRS to offer free filing? Well, that partnership had one big catch. The IRS, for almost 20 years, promised not to offer a rival product. That is, up until it stopped making that promise in 2020, amid political and media backlash. But industry heavyweights like Jackson Hewitt say that tax reform and simplification would be welcome news.
Tax simplification is always welcome. I've often debated this with academics and philosophers who say, oh, you're in the tax business. You push tax complexity. You all are for a more complicated tax system. Nothing could be further from the truth for any real tax professional. We like simple taxes that we can help taxpayers administer. There'll always be tax.
I mean, to an extent, I believe him, but then I also think like that would kind of eventually push your guys' business out of the way, or you lose a lot of money to where like we don't need them anymore.
No, it seems like
They would. You think people would still just?
It doesn't seem like he's saying we want it easier on. It seems like they're saying to file it, they want it to be easier for people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but again, if you want it to be so easy, then fucking do it. Not him, but like the
government.
IRS.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's like you're sitting there with the answer key and you're like, I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah,
I'm just going to let you figure it out. And these companies wouldn't exist, which we don't need them.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
The IRS just needs to do their job, and there's enough to worry about.
Yeah.
I know we have the resources. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, I know. Well, apparently, I looked it up, and I also, I read it that like over 1,000 employees at the IRS just like don't file their taxes, because they know that like
that's not good. Like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And they were saying like, we know
who admits that? Why would they admit that?
They were asking like, I forget, like I think like, I don't know, they just surveyed it, and they also said like the IRS forgives the employees very easily for like forgetting to do it or other stuff like that.
Oh, that's what I was wondering. I was like, if they're so comfortable not
they just
filing
say they
their
made a
taxes,
mistake. Yeah.
Okay, but if they're so comfortable doing that, it makes you think like, how serious would they take it if like the average person didn't?
I don't think they really. Yeah, I don't know.
I think they will fucking find you, whether it's now or in 10 years.
Yeah.
When they,
when they need it.
they need a couple more bucks.
Yeah.
Just like,
Well, they do
all
right
right,
now.
who
They
can we
definitely
fuck?
do right now because they hit their debt ceiling. They're not allowed to get any more debt. They need debt to keep carrying along and make things look like it's okay.
so that looks like the whole student loan decision that's going to happen from the Supreme Court next month or this month.
Yeah.
They're probably going to take that into consideration too.
Yeah, that's another thing over here too. That's a big topic that's happening right now. Is they're trying to get student debt canceled, and it's a huge topic.
Yeah, certain
Loans.
Yeah, it would have to be federal loans, and they're only forgiving about like, I think $20,000 if you make a certain amount of money,
Which is a decent amount if it does happen, but I don't know.
I mean, but apparently there was like 6 different states. I think one of them backed out that were trying to sue the government, saying like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, there were
much.
some Republican states that were,
So now it's in
filing
the
a
Supreme
lawsuit.
Court's hands,
if they want to allow it to continue or pass. Yeah.
which leaves little hope.
Linda's like, just forgive my debt.
Honestly.
Yeah. A lot of people get upset because they spent a lot of money on school and they already finished paying it back, and they're like, well, now these people are going to get.
Well, apparently, I don't know exactly if they're backtracking, but you can still be
Applied to get like
you can get some of that reimbursed.
Yeah.
Depending on your circumstance and
How much you
whatever,
make and
yada
stuff,
yada yada.
probably.
Yeah, there's all these
But
guidelines and shit.
interesting video. Let us know where you're from, how the filing taxes is, if it's easy or whatever. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to jump over to our vlog channel. We appreciate you all. Just posted us a new video. We're gonna be posting new videos all the time. Okay, keep it real, owners.
What, are you okay?
Yes. You have anything to say before we head out?
Thank you for watching and do your taxes. I'm just kidding.
Peace.